Yeah, and it was it was kind of funny with some of the times that we got into fights. Uh,
Was this the deployment where you got shot? Where the photo was taken?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
actually, that was like maybe the second week in the Garmsir, third week in the Garmsir.
Oh shit! You were still early on when that happened, huh? So you want to explain like the whole situation, what happened there?
Yeah, when we first went into Garmsir, we did the night assault. Uh, we have to work our way from the LZ down to our section of the town where we're going to establish our defense. And we've got a company defense almost online. Just platoon here in this building, platoon in that building, whatever. And it was still a pretty kinetic time. We were still getting in firefights, at least a couple a day at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember we had been, my guys had just gotten done with watch um, because I had night post, and we had switched over to a different squad, and I was just sitting there doing my laundry, and laundry was, you got a rusty bucket, I got a bar of soap, and that's it, have fun. Uh, but I'm just sitting there scrubbing my clothes, and you hear one round go off. That's not how the Moos usually fight. Uh, it's a lot of the spray and pray kind of fight. So just hearing one round was kind of weird. And it was actually close. And like Marshall was different. They could actually shoot there. In Garmsir, those guys were god awful
Mm-hmm.
um, with everything they shot at you with RPGs, AK, whatever. Um, but just hearing that one shot and it being close, you could, being able to hear it by the tone. Uh, I went over to check on one of our engineers, and he was just sitting there because, like, I literally just grabbed the rifle and went and see him sitting there. And hey, man, you okay? Yeah, I'm not sure where it came from, Sergeant. So I'm looking over the wall and I see like movement in a building that's probably not even 100 yards from ours. So I immediately draw down, and as I'm drawing down on the window, Goran, our embed from Reuters, he just starts snapping photos. And literally, like, as I draw down on the window, uh, just world goes dark kind of thing. And it turns out, like, I actually took the round from, 90 degrees off to the left. And the way he explained it was he was testing a new type of camera lens and didn't realize he had it on sequence shot. So when he took that picture, it just happened to be at that split second,
Mm-hmm.
and it took a sequence of like 4 or 5 photos or whatever it was. Of course, I didn't know any of that. Like, it just, everything went dark, and next thing I know, I'm on a stretcher, uh, like just taped down to the board. My platoon sergeant, Gutty OJ, he's got a bird inbound. He's like, "Yeah, man, we're getting Kazvac out of here. What the hell's going on?" Uh, they all thought I took a route of the head or some shit like that. They just couldn't figure it out. And I was like, "Guys, let me out of here. I'm perfectly fine. Doc, give me a couple of Tylenol kind of thing." So I talk him into not Kazvac and me. We sit around bullshitting about it, laughing. And that's when Goran comes over uh, with the camera. He's got that real thick Serbian accent. Look at this, Sergeant B, look at this. Like, oh shit. My wife's really not going to be happy.
Yeah, that's funny. That's your first reaction.
Oh, without a doubt. Because Goran, he was like, this picture's only been taken once before. That was Korean War. He died. I was like, oh, sweet. Um, but he asked right away if he could put like my name on it and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, not until I talk to the wife. That's going to be the first thing. Just let her know I'm all right.
Yeah, well, that's cool that he even asked. You know, some guys would have just ran it and not have even asked you.
Oh, this was the most experienced embed I've ever seen. The second we picked him up, he opens up his pack. He just starts pulling out cases of Marlboro Reds.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like, okay, yeah, this guy knows how to operate, so yeah,
Yeah,
we're good with him.
that's cool. Yeah, well, I guess the only thing better than that is pull out some logs of grizzly wintergreen or something. Like give them
Yeah,
out because dudes are running low when they're out there on on an operation like that. How'd you guys like having a photographer there with you? Was that was it like, oh man, like, oh, that sucks, or were you guys, hey, cool, that'll be good?
well, we were used to him by that point because
Yeah.
I think one of the big things about that push to Garmsir was that was when the first big surge with Afghanistan happened. So like we had all kind of admits. We had NPR, got two or three private ones. We had a big name one. I can't even remember what his name is, but he made the initial assault with us, lasted 2 days in the heat, and was like just straight tapped out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So this is
it was
not for
pretty
me,
nasty.
bro.
Yeah.
That's a lot of journalists, that's their like early days. They're trying to earn their chops, earn their spot on NBC Nightly News or whatever it is. They all start out as like war embeds and stuff to make a name for themselves. And having a photo taken like that, that's great for that photographer. That's a once in a lifetime kind of shot. How did you hear when it started becoming like a famous photo? Did you hear about it again? I mean, you're still in country,
Basically, when I
so
talked to the wife, yeah, like I
yeah.
got to talk to the wife, I think like 2 days later, maybe a day later, and it had already, shot across and hit like all the magazines and all that kind of stuff, all the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
And the wife just right off the bat, where the hell's your gear? All that. I do remember her saying, I don't care what you're doing for the rest of the time you're there. I don't care if you're doing laundry, taking a shit. I don't care. You are going to wear your helmet. I was like, this is going to be really awkward when we're trying to get in these wag bag tents.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, man. What did it feel like, man? Was it weird? Like, oh shit, my picture's been shown all over the place. Like, I'm kind of the face of this right now.
I I thought it was more funny than anything, just because of the massive amount of shit talking that my guys did.
That was my next question. How much harassment did you get from the other dudes around
Oh,
you?
constant. Because I mean, the battalion commander had to have gotten a call from the commandant. Shit had to have rolled downhill.
Oh yeah,
And,
I didn't even think about it because you didn't have your gear and shit on. Oh man, I bet a bunch
yeah.
of people got slapped for that one.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, it's everybody that has no idea how, like, the fighting was actually going.
How
It's like
living on the
we
front
live
lines is
inside
like,
those
yeah,
buildings, you know.
for sure.
Had the first sergeant threaten me, do that shit again, I'm gonna charge you, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was more just shit talking than anything.
Was it weird having blacked out and like lost a few minutes of time, and then been like, what the hell is happening? What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Yeah, that didn't realize it, but that was my second brain injury. Like, started having headaches and issues later on that I didn't even associate it with it at the time. Not until later the doc like, oh, well, maybe we got to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, so obviously the fame or whatever you want to call it is fleeting. The news cycle continues on, so someone else's photo comes up. Was it something that are you happy that that photo's out there, that it was taken, that, you're that's one of the most popular photos from the war, I think. Is that something that you look back on with like, oh, that's cool? Or is it something where you're like, man, that's not really what?
No, I kind of think it's funny more
Yeah.
than anything. Yeah. Like, if you look at the float book, like the deployment book, they do, in case you don't know, they do like literally a yearbook for every deployment.
Yeah, I got
And
two
they
of them up there.
tried as hard as they could to make sure that photo was not in there under any circumstances.
Oh, really?
It's like, okay, yeah, that's somebody being butthurt.
They're like, you got your fame. This is for everybody else. We all saw the photo, bro. We don't care.
Right. But it did end up getting contacted by a journalist from the Daily Mail, after I had gotten out years later, and that later spiraled into a book that's going to be coming out about it in September.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great, man. I'll have to
Yeah,
check it out. You'll have
yeah.
to shoot me a message. What's the title of the book, or do you have one yet?
Uh, the shot, the harrowing journey of a Marine during the war on terror.
So you say it like you feel weird saying it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long title, and I thought it was really long until I started looking at comparative titles, and I'm like, nearly every modern book, like military title, is like 20 words long.
Well, plus it's the self promotion of it. You know, it's like feels weird to be like self promoting. You know.
Oh, without a doubt. But I mean, I don't do social media or anything like that other than like Facebook. That's it. Uh, I don't try and like get hit up for articles and stuff like that, though, like Fox's Daily Mail, a couple other places. It's like, I'm not going to seek the shit out, but if you're going to ask me questions about it, then I'm going to speak completely honestly.
Yeah, man, that's what I like. That's what I like to hear. You know, that's why I'm glad you reached out to come on here. And you know, I think it's an awesome. I don't know, man. Again, it's one of those photos that was the war in Afghanistan, right? You know, the guys that weren't sitting at Leatherneck or sitting at fucking Kandahar playing ice hockey or whatever. They didn't experience that. That's a different type of war where you, like you said, you're cleaning your clothes with a bar of soap and a bucket, you know, just basically you try to knock the dirt out of it a little bit, but it's not even really that clean. Shitting in a wag bag, eating hot trays that get sent to you, or MREs or something like that. You know, it's a completely different experience in those the people that lived on fobs and lived in Leatherneck, which was what my life was on my first deployment. And I'm not taking away from their part in the war, because those are the logistics people that are making sure that the vehicles that are fucked up real bad get repaired and come back forward so that you can do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're the ones ensuring that the mail's coming to you so that you can get the care packages. Or they're ensuring that, you know, you're getting chow and you're getting clean water and stuff. So it sucks, and I know a lot of people did that kind of deployment. I did as well. And it feels like it's hard to feel proud of it sometimes, because you're like, yeah, I just sat around on base and did like I was a mechanic, you know. But, you know, it really does matter. So I think having you know, seeing that side of the war is what more people need to see, because most people didn't see that side. Most people were at Kandahar or Leatherneck or Dwyer and had a chow hall and had, like, you know, the good life, if you will. So that's great. You got a book coming out.
That's what made me talk to the reporter in the first place, because he no kidding, Wills Robinson, he handwritten me a letter, mailed it to me, because I guess he knew I wouldn't discuss anything over the internet or anything like that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, you know, he's saying, you know, if, you know, there's all kind of books and movies and everything about operators, generals, officers, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But what out there, you know, other than, well, actually one of the 3-6 Marines from Marja, Ryan Rogers, he wrote the lines of Marja. You know, Joe Chamberlain writes Sniper's War. You know, those are basically it that I know of from a grunt's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not many, man. There's a few books out there, but they're not widespread. They're not widely publicized. You know, that's one thing I like having on this podcast. And, you know, one of the reasons I started the podcast, because I was like, you know, I was a JTAC. I knew a bunch of other JTACs. Some of them were just regular battalion, you know, infantry battalion JTACs. Some of them were like MARSOC JTACs. But, you know, everybody has their own kind of story. And even if you were just like a regular battalion JTAC, these dudes did crazy shit that people, you know, there's stuff out there that people have never even heard about, that'll never get written into a history book, that'll never get put into a movie. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth talking about and like kind of recording. And I've been lucky enough to have a lot of people come on here and talk about stories that, you know, would never be recorded or never be told, you know, unless they did something like that. So it's like, I really appreciate you reaching out to come on, and I really encourage other people to do the same. You know, they can see the link in the podcast description and stuff. There's a link there to sign up for the podcast, because it's I don't know, people got to know, right?